Hey everyone, welcome back to Installation 00, and it is New Year's Day, so welcome to 2025. Now, to kick this year off, I wanted to do something a little bit different and have a sit down in this kind of format and discuss what the year ahead may hold for Halo and for the channel at large, as well as looking a little further afield, a little further down the line, 1 or 2 years into the future, and pass my own opinions on how things should be executed. If nothing else, just to kind of throw the ideas out there, so if they haven't been considered by Halo Studios or other influential people at the company, perhaps if they haven't occurred, it may help influence those decisions, possibly. I don't hold much hope, but there's no point in remaining quiet on it. So first things first, I think it's more or less a foregone conclusion now that we are probably going to see a Halo CE remake in the Unreal Engine. The showcase of Halo in the Unreal Engine that Halo Studios released at HCS Worlds just gone clearly showcased Halo in the Unreal Engine, but also made a point of showing us Halo CE assets, so the Chief in his Mark V platform, for example. So at this point, it's relatively a foregone conclusion. Now, there's some other things in that demonstration, so to speak, that showcase that they made, that I want to spend a little time analysing shortly, that may play into other plans they have further down the line, but again, we'll get onto that in a minute. The big thing for me is 2025, at the very least, we're going to get a lot more information about the Halo CE remake, at the very least. Now, I say that because they're building Halo CE in the Unreal Engine. Now, when they built Halo Infinite, they built the engine that it runs on, the Slipspace engine, from the ground up. It was heavily based upon the Blam engine, the same engine that was being used by Bungie all the way back in the day, even to create Halo 1. And obviously, as the years went by, they added new features and new plugins and this, that, and the other, and grew the engine. But Halo Infinite saw a heavy overhaul of the Blam engine to the point that it can be kind of considered a new engine. And of course, in that process, in the development of a relatively brand new engine, it came with its own teething issues. It came with technical issues. And it meant that because it was a completely custom ground-up engine, due to the methods of their employment during the development of Halo Infinite being only 18-month contracts before letting the people go, it meant that programmers were coming into the company having to learn this bespoke engine from the ground up, and just when they're roughly getting traction with it and getting used to how it works and making the best of it, their contract comes to an end and they're replaced by a new person who then also has to familiarise themselves with the engine. So it had teething issues. The business plan, the use of a bespoke engine, had its issues, quite glaring issues that really should have been seen by management earlier on. But that's not what today's video is about. Today's video is about what is going to happen now that Halo is on the Unreal Engine. Now, the big thing to take away from Halo being on the Unreal Engine is the Unreal Engine is an industry standard, and any programmer, any games developer that's worth their metal will be familiar with the programming language that the Unreal Engine runs on, which means there's very little in the way of a learning curve for new people coming into the company to develop assets. And even if they've still got, I don't know why they would, it's possible they still do, but even if they still have the business model where they only keep staff on for 18 months before letting them go, it means that the replacement people that come in after them can very, very quickly orientate themselves with the Unreal Engine, see what the previous people have done, and build upon it. That linearizes the development process significantly, which translates to an accelerated speed of development. This is exemplified in the way in which Bungie developed Halo CE through to basically Halo Reach. It was the Blam engine. It was the same engine with additional plugins over the years, but it was the same engine, and predominantly speaking, Bungie had the same core people working on Halo from Halo CE all the way up to the end of their tenure with Halo. So because they weren't bringing in new people to replace people they've just gotten rid of all the time, it meant that everyone who was on the team was familiar with the engine, knew what was going on, and knew how to make good use of it. They had more than enough time to make good use of it, which meant that we got Halo CE all the way through to Halo Reach over the course of 9 years. 5 games over 9 years. Just under 2 years for a development process for a game. Contrast that with at the moment, there's about 5 years between games. And this is clearly because of this change in working ethos, as well as, of course, a degree of the complexity of games growing over the years. Halo building on the Unreal Engine saves time for orientation for new staff, it saves on complexity because it's an extraordinarily powerful engine and they can make good use of it, which can only mean good things for how often we will get new additions into the Halo franchise. Now, I am conservatively optimistic, based on what we've already seen that's been developed in the Unreal Engine, that we may possibly, conservatively, be looking at maybe an end-of-year release date for the Halo CE remake. It's possible it will probably be pushed over into 2026, but I'm conservatively optimistic that due to the change in ethos, due to the change of management, due to using the Unreal Engine, an already established and very powerful engine, and the fact that I know a lot of people complain that the physics of Halo was a bespoke aspect of the Blam engine and can't really be replicated elsewhere, but actually the Blam engine, its physics engine, is actually the Havoc engine, which can be attached and connected to the Unreal Engine as something of a plugin. So the physics problem shouldn't actually come into it. But due to the aforementioned circumstances, conservatively it's possible we could get a Halo C remake release the end of this year, which would be a phenomenal start. Going back to the showcase that Halo Studios showed at Halo Worlds, the footage that we saw within that showcase highlighted a lot of different biomes, a lot of different environments, something that, of course, I'm sure we can all agree, even Halo Studios would agree, we were starved of in Halo Infinite, and even got us our first decent look at the Blightlands. These are flood-infested environments where the flood are literally consuming all biomass and nutrients, even down to the soil. Now, of course, it was a showcase and an experiment, so to speak, to see just how far they could push the Unreal Engine, but could we venture far enough to maybe take the suggestion that the reason that footage was included was because they are hinting at other things they're doing. Now, one of the big things in my mind for the Blightlands, if the Blightlands are in existence in one form or another within the Unreal Engine, are they planning on doing kind of a prequel series going right the way back to the For Honor Flood War? It's possible. I think, however, it seems much more likely that the Blightlands are a good demonstration of the same kind of environment that the level Cortana in Halo 3 takes place with, which leads to the next relatively logical conclusion that we'll perhaps get an announcement this year that it isn't just Halo CE that they are planning the remake for, but in fact the entire first trilogy. So we may finally get the Halo anniversary that so many of us have been requesting for all of these years. Not that Halo 3 has aged poorly, it still looks phenomenally good, particularly on the Series X and on PC. But Halo CE and Halo 2 both had their anniversaries, which were expansive. They extended the lore in some manner. Halo 2 was much more successful in upgrading the graphics fidelity than Halo CE was, but both expanded the lore, expanded the narratives. And I've made a couple of videos now, and I know a lot of the other content creators have made many videos now talking about the fact that Halo CE's remake needs to be an expansive remake. The reintroduction of cut levels. It does make me wonder. I know it's a bit of a sore subject at the moment, and I've not really commented much on it because I don't tend to cover mods and things like that within my content, broadly speaking, although that may be on the change. But I'm aware that the dig site leak of all of the content that was used in the development of the original trilogy has resulted in Microsoft kind of stepping in and enforcing copyright infringements on content that is developed off of that. Now, I wonder, these are 3 games, or this is cut content and content that the dig site team were trying to re-implement on games that are over a decade old, nearly 2 decades old in some cases, in fact over 2 decades old in some cases. Why would Microsoft step in to enforce a copyright infringement on content for games that are that old? that they really, generally speaking, aside from MCC, and even that's a loose one, they don't even support that much anymore. Why would Microsoft step in and enforce a copyright for that? I wonder if the reason Microsoft have stepped in to enforce copyright infringement is because they're not done with that content yet. Which implies that, as many of us have hypothesized, Halo CE, the remake, is going to be an expansive remake, reintroducing cut content, reintroducing cut narrative, but as well as honouring the original story that was in place, but giving us something new. That not only pleases the current fans, because they get the original experience, but upscaled graphically, and it also gives people something new but still familiar to get involved with, but also attracts new audiences to Halo for the first time in many years. CE Remake being expansive, it makes sense then, based on the fact that we've seen the visuals from the showcase at HCS Worlds and Microsoft's copyright infringement enforcements on the dig site team leaks. It makes sense that perhaps Halo 2 and Halo 3 are due their own expansive remakes. They're not done with that content yet. At least that's my 2 cents on it. I also wouldn't be surprised if this year, particularly with the Halo CE remake, whether it's actually released towards the end of the year, or maybe even just in the advertisement campaign for it, building up to it, I wouldn't be surprised if we get dribs and drabs of information on the next Halo. In a similar manner to how we got dribs and drabs of information about Halo 5 Guardians in the advertisement campaign for Halo 2 Anniversary and the MCC, I wonder if we will get dribs and drabs of information for Halo 7, the continuation of Chief's story after Zeta Halo, even during or after Zeta Halo. And of course, developing games is a very labour-intensive process, and the staff that are at Halo Studios at the moment will be working diligently in producing the Halo CE remake, and if my hypothesis holds, Halo 2 remake, Halo 3 remake, and Halo 7, it's conservatively possible, with Microsoft acquiring so many other studios over the past couple of years and Halo now being on the Unreal Engine, that we may see the potential of spin-off games being at least announced to be in the works in 2025. Now, these spin-off games may be made by affiliate companies, by other gaming studios that Microsoft currently owns, and may either pick up stories that have since been dropped, perhaps a continuation of June's story with Noble Team, perhaps an ODST 2, so to speak, or indeed perhaps entirely new stories being told across the Halo franchise. It's a huge, expansive universe. There are so many stories to be told. It stands to reason that if they're going to make spin-off games, they have a wealth of knowledge to call upon. Now, my next prediction, shall we say, for 2025 that I'm going to throw out there is a return of the Halo TV series. Now, hold on, just bear with me a second. I know that it was relatively divisive across the community, but bear with me and just listen to my reasoning here, okay? I think that where we are quite obviously now getting a Halo CE remake, an expansive remake, pushed out to a larger audience, it's going to please the old fans, the new fans. It makes sense to saturate the media with Halo as kind of a big game plan to really push Halo back to the top. Now, I know that the TV show was cancelled by Paramount Plus. I will hasten to add there, it was cancelled not because it was unpopular. I was in Brazil with 270,000 other people who lost their minds when Halo Season 2 was announced. So it's not that it wasn't popular. It was divisive across the kind of inner circle of the Halo community, but it was dropped because of money. It really did just come down to brass tacks. Halo cost on average about $10 million per episode. Over 2 seasons, 10 episodes a season, that's over $200 million to produce the Halo TV show. And it's no secret from anybody who can Google, I encourage you to Google it yourself, it's no secret that Paramount Plus, despite being one of the newer platforms, was struggling financially. This is what premeditated the merge with Skydance Media, and what ultimately premeditated their desire to merge with HBO Max. Case in point, Paramount Plus, in spite of bringing on board 67.5 million new subscribers, announced in the end of fiscal year 2023 to 2024 a loss of $490 million, which was actually down from $575 million for the fiscal year 2022 to 2023. So in spite of bringing on so many new subscribers, they still have a colossal loss of around $500 million. And it's also worth knowing that Halo wasn't the only TV show they actually cancelled, and they cancelled it because they just couldn't afford it anymore. They were trying to slim up so that the company was healthier for the merge with HBO Max. Along with Halo, they actually dropped 22 other TV shows, including The Accursed, Quantum Leap, Minx, Son of Critch, The Thing About Pam, No Escape, The Killing Kind, The Burning Girls, The Doll Factory, The Serial Killer's Wife, The Chemistry of Death, One Night, The Sheik, Death's Roulette, Rise of the Billionaires, Fever Pitch, Love Rats, Bowling LA, The Gold, Hauntings, Hot Yachts, and Strip. So while it may seem at face value that the Halo TV show was dropped because it was unpopular, the reality is the evidence doesn't support that. The evidence clearly points towards the fact that Paramount just couldn't afford it anymore, along with 22 other shows. Now, all of that aside, I think it would make a huge amount of sense and a huge amount of money if the TV show, the producers and the executives of the Halo TV show are looking for a new platform to call home. It would make a lot of sense for the Halo TV show to be picked up by someone like Amazon Prime. Amazon Prime makes a lot of sense from my perspective because they had great success with The Last of Us and with the Fallout series. And they've got other huge hitting shows like The Boys. It makes sense to me that Halo would find a pleasant home, so to speak, a comfortable home with Amazon Prime. It makes sense based on where the story ended. They may be able to coincide, assuming that perhaps the Halo CE remake is pushed back to 2026, they may be able to coincide the release of a third season of the Halo TV show, picking up the story where it left off, but with obvious changes and Amazon putting their own mark, so to speak, on the franchise, and telling the CE story more in line with the actual book, The Flood, where we got a focus on not just the events surrounding the Chief while he was on Installation 04, but also events surrounding the Pillar of Autumn, events surrounding Zuka Zamami, events surrounding Antonio Silva and the ODSTs and Lieutenant McKay. There is so much going on Installation 04 during the few days that Master Chief is there that we just don't see when you play through the game. It makes an immense amount of business sense to me if Halo Studios manages to release Halo CE Remake, an expansive remake of the original game, simultaneously with a TV show that covers the same or similar events. A continuation of the story, but much more closely following the events of the original book. It just seems unusually convenient that Halo Studios planned the Halo CE remake and the Halo TV show was dropped by Paramount Plus due to financial reasons, but could be picked up by another platform right at the start of the Halo CE story. And if they get their timelines lined up nicely, if they get their eggs in a row, they could release the Halo CE remake and the TV show very close to each other to coincide, to take the market by storm. It just seems a little bit too convenient. That's all I'll say on that for now. Again, I completely accept that both Halo CE remake and a third season of the TV show would need to be done exceptionally well. And they would have to honour the original content, the original source material, while not straying too far from the path, but still offering other angles, other perspectives, and allowing us that expansive retelling of the classic story of Halo CE. So there's a lot of things in the air for that. I appreciate that. And there's a lot of complexity inherent in that, but it's not insurmountable, particularly when we're talking about the size of the companies that are involved with this. But that's what I'll say on that for the moment. So broadly speaking, I think next year we're definitely going to get a lot of new information on the Halo CE remake. We're probably going to get information that they're planning on expansive remaking the entire first trilogy. We will possibly get information on Halo 7, the continuation of Chief's story on and after Zeta Halo. We may possibly get information on other studios developing spin-offs associated within the Halo universe. And conservatively, I hope that perhaps with the Unreal Engine we get Halo CE Remake released at the end of this year, sort of holiday time, December time of this year. And I conservatively wonder if that doesn't happen and it's pushed back into 2026, that we may see a return of the TV show on a platform like Prime, honouring the story more closely and saturating the market with Halo product. That's what I hope, broadly speaking, we get in 2025 for Halo. Now, that's broadly speaking what I want for Halo, or what I hope for Halo in 2025. But I also want to just briefly touch on a couple of things that I hope I'll be doing this year. So, first things first, this is Officer's Blend. This is actually an Installation 00 whiskey. Yeah, call me Distillation 00. Sorry. I am conservatively hoping that I might be able to arrange a first run of the whiskey. So, it is good. It's smoky. There's a little sweetness there, a little bit of vanilla, some fruits. It's very nice. I'm conservatively hoping that I might be able to get a run of the whiskey sorted this year. I know there's quite some tight legislation in regards to shipping and selling alcohol to the States from the UK. I know there are companies that specialise in doing it. I imagine that probably comes with quite a high premium, or I could perhaps locate somebody in the US, because this was developed here in the UK, to develop a Installation 00 whiskey. And that's obviously coinciding with the fact that the cigars, the Sweet William cigars that are on sale on the Installation 00 website, there's new variations of those coming out, larger ones for longer smoke times. So there's a few things going on there. Obviously, I've got the Patreon perks. I've got some new ones that I'm just sort of sorting out now. So Patreon supporters, you're due some more merch very shortly. I'm trying to get that every 3 months. Content-wise, there's a few new series I'm bringing online. I also want to announce here that I'm working on a short story, loosely kind of an audio drama, but mainly a short story that I think a lot of people will be quite keen to learn about. Fireteam Ares is returning, a kind of a fan novel that it nearly is an entire novel that I've been writing. That's coming back. There's a lot of episodes already scheduled in. I've actually got content scheduled in at the moment all the way out until March. So I've bought myself some time, basically. By working like a dog, I've bought myself some time to work on some other things. And that also includes a full-fledged audio drama. Loosely inspired by Hunt the Truth, but telling a very different story, a darker story. So I'm quite excited to release that as well. Generally speaking, there's going to be a lot more most detailed breakdowns this year. I know I didn't do very many last year. There's going to be a lot more lore videos this year, and a couple new series coming online. So that's what's going on with the channel, generally speaking. On kind of the building side of things, so we have Project Mjolnir, which has been going for a few years now. And with that, we've developed the first real Mjolnir helmet, we've developed the first real Spartan BDU, and we've developed a heating and cooling system to regulate the temperature of the wearer, and we're surging ahead at the moment on the actual exo frame and external armor plates, and we're refining that. So there's a lot planned for Project Mjolnir this year, but one of the big things that is going to happen, I hope by about August of this year, is we will also have the first real ODST helmet with the polarizing visor, the visor overlay, communication systems, the whole hog. It will be a real ODST helmet. And I also hope, based on dates, I know that it's the plan is to release a roadmap for HCS at some point in this new year. I hope, because it didn't quite line up last year, there was a scheduling conflict. HCS Worlds fell on the same weekend as my son's birthday, and I couldn't quite justify being halfway across the world on my son's birthday. So I hope this year that they don't fall on the same weekend, and as a consequence, I will be at HCS Worlds once again for the second year. I went in 2023 and I had an absolute blast. I plan to go again this year, towards the end of the year, probably October, if the dates shift the way I think they're going to. And when I do go, I will be arriving with both the real Mjolnir helmet and the real ODST helmet, and possibly the BDU as well. And I know there was some talk last time I was at HCS, and on the build-up to the HCS Worlds just gone in 2024, although unfortunately I couldn't attend, there was some discussion that perhaps that there might be plans to showcase that, perhaps even on the community stage. I can't confirm that's exactly what's going to happen, because since that conversation, since those early discussions, not a lot else has happened. I think they're waiting to see if I'm actually going to show this year. But even if that doesn't end up being the case, I will be at HCS Worlds for the entire weekend, and I will have the real ODST helmet, the real Mjolnir helmet, the BDU with me to showcase and show off, and I'll be there to interact with all of you guys as well, because it was a phenomenal time in 2023 and I need a repeat of it as soon as possible. Other than that, there's a lot of little things planned that I think I'll announce formally a little bit further down the line when I know a few more details. But yeah, that's roughly my predictions, so to speak, or my optimistic guesses at what I hope may transpire in this new year. It's 2025 already, which 2024 just disappeared. 2023. I've been doing content creation now since I think my first video went up in like 2018, late 2018, early 2019. And it's just been a whirlwind ever since then. I mean, it means I've been doing full-time content creation since just after the pandemic, and it's just been a whirlwind. And you guys have made this just ridiculously cool. It's this time of year I always go through. I always have a kind of couple of days on the build-up to New Year's Day and New Year's Day itself, where I look back retrospectively on where I've come from, what I've done, what's happened, the stresses and strains of life, the goods, the bads, the uglies, all of it, and kind of take stock. And then I look ahead to the coming year and kind of lay out my hopes, my predictions, my visualizations, almost my manifestations of what I want to achieve in the coming year, as well as just things I want to happen, things I'm looking forward to. And these past few years of being a content creator have been just phenomenal because of all of you guys. So I want to raise a glass to you and thank you greatly for sticking with me and for continuing to watch, like, subscribe, to support on Patreon, to support Project Mjolnir and everything else we're doing. Just everything that you guys do that allow me to do this full time. I'm just so grateful. I can't begin to fully articulate it, and I'm usually relatively good with my words. So I've just had such a blast these past few years, and I'm looking forward to so many more years in the future, continuing to do the same thing, continuing to interact with people, continuing to do collaborations with other content creators. Me, Ubernick, Fletch, Luke. We're all due at some point, but particularly the British guys. I mean, come on, we're Brits. We're all due like a sit down and a meal and a couple of drinks or something. We need to actually like break bread or something like that, like at Worlds this year. But also just getting to interact with you guys at live events. And I do plan to go to more live events than just HCS Worlds, because I figure the more events I go to, the more of you guys I get to meet, and the more I get to thank you guys for putting me in this position. So again, thank you for sticking with me. Thank you for watching this video and seeing my optimistic, probably unrealistic expectations for what's going to happen in 2025. Happy New Year to everyone. I hope you've had a chilled and relaxed and enjoyable holiday season, and I hope the year ahead is as prosperous and enjoyable as you've made the past few years for me. Thank you so much, everyone. Take it easy and find peace in the domain. That is good. I'm going to have another. Thanks for watching. If you haven't already, consider hitting the subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss out on future content, and hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. It really does help the channel out significantly. Feel free to pop a comment below on anything you'd like me to cover next, and before signing off I just want to give a shout to my Patreon supporters, Spartan10148, my singular contender class ancilla, Falcon, Jordan and Poseidon, the metarchs of my facility, Sylphia, Ashley, Esoteric, Spartan 1029 and Chris Allen, my dutiful monitors, Darian, Legion, Labrat, Spartan 137, Chris, Element 0, J3, Mr. Keys, Gunslinger Cult, Evermore's, Personal Devil, Scion Esports and Saber, my diligent sub-monitors, my dominating fleet of Strato Sentinels, and my loyal enforcers, and all other patrons who continue to support the channel. I can't thank you guys enough. Big props to my Tier 0 YouTube members, Spartan 137, Talia, Fenrir, Bornstella and Jimbo, and all other YouTube members keeping the installation running on that glorious vacuum energy. And if you really love what I'm doing here, consider supporting the channel via the links in the description. Much love, take it easy, and find peace in the domain.